There is truly no shortage of great DC animated movies, both as part of the DC animated universe created by Bruce Timm and Paul Dini, and the various original animated films made since the conclusion of that series. However, when it comes to picking one singular favourite, there has always been one clear-cut choice for me. While films such as Mask of the Phantasm, The Dark Knight Returns and All-Star Superman are all amazing, my personal favourite has always been the 2000 Batman Beyond spin-off film, Return of the Joker. Return of the Joker is fantastic. It's incredibly dark and unsettling, so much so that the film was heavily censored and edited upon its initial release, in a way that few other mainstream animated feature films are. It's a movie that really conveys the twisted and disturbing nature of its titular villain, and it's truly one of the best Joker stories and also a brilliant Batman film, as well as serving as a conclusion to both the popular Batman Beyond series and the ever-beloved Batman the Animated series. So in this video, I want to delve into the story of Return of the Joker, discuss how this film came to be and the ideas behind it, and examine what makes this film one of the very best Batman stories ever put to screen. So, before we dive into the film itself, I think a little bit of context is needed to set the scene. Throughout the 1990s, DC Comics and Warner Bros. Entertainment found great success with their series of animated TV series, beginning with the now iconic Batman the Animated series in September of 1992, before expanding its universe to include a Superman series in the same vein, and then eventually two beloved Justice League series. However, while the universe continued to grow and showcase a wide array of characters, Batman always seemed to be the heart of the DC animated universe. Following the conclusion of the New Batman Adventures, a sequel series to Batman the Animated series, in January of 1999, the studio began to explore new ways to tell Batman stories on the small screen. There were a number of ways that Bruce Timm, Paul Dini and the team behind these shows could have continued Batman's story, but they chose a rather unique avenue in the form of Batman Beyond, a futuristic sequel set some 40 years in the future, starring a new young hero named Terry McGinnis taking up the mantle of the Caped Crusader with an elderly Bruce Wayne acting as his mentor. The series lasted 3 seasons, running from January 10th, 1999 until December 18th, 2001, and saw Terry face off against both brand new villains created for the show, and also a number of classic villains from the original series, namely Mr. Freeze and Ra's al Ghul. It's also worth noting that, around this time, DC had begun to expand their collection of original animated films also, with Batman Mask of the Phantasm and Batman and Mr. Freeze Sub-Zero being released prior to the start of Beyond. However, following the cancellation of Boyd Kirkland's Batman Arkham film, Warner Bros. Instructed Timm, Dini and co. to develop a feature film set in the world of Batman Beyond. And almost immediately, it seemed as if the creative team realised that it was time to use the ace up their sleeve. As Paul Dini noted, when producers Alan Burnett, Glenn Mukarami, Bruce Timm and I began developing Batman Beyond in early 1998, we made a conscious decision to downplay much of the lore established in our first animated Batman series. Early on we determined that if Batman Beyond was to succeed, it had to do it on its own terms. The series' energy had to come from the tense relationship between Bruce and Terry, the differences in their methods and motivations being the engine that would drive Batman far into the 21st century. Once that was established, only then would we feel ready to go back and answer a few of the questions fans had asked about Batman's old life and his original crime-fighting partners. When the good folks at Warner Bros. Home Video gave us the green light to produce a feature-length Batman Beyond adventure, we decided to use the movie format to answer those questions. Bruce, Glenn and I tossed around a number of ideas pertaining to the fate of the old Bat team, as well as the miraculous return of the Joker, and the new threats he would bring to Batman/Terry's world. The notion of bringing back Batman's most famous and iconic villain and putting Terry's capabilities as the successor to Bruce Wayne to the test made a lot of sense. It would essentially be the ultimate crowning moment that Terry fully becomes the Batman, overcoming the character's biggest foe and proving himself to be at least an equal to Bruce. Interestingly, the decision was made for the film to act as both a Beyond film and also an ultimate send-off to the original Batman series, with a portion of the movie being set following the end of the new Batman Adventures, bridging the gap between the show's conclusion and the beginning of Batman Beyond. This was an ambitious task for sure, but the people behind this film had not only a great idea, but the track record and the genius to pull off such a story. So in December of 2000, it was time for the Joker to return. Return of the Joker takes place during the final episodes of Batman Beyond, at a point in where Terry is firmly growing into the role of Batman. This though is put to the test, when after he encounters members of the Joker gang, it's revealed that the group are now working for none other than the original Clown Prince of Crime, as the villain long thought disappeared, resurfaces and begins to put his new master plan into action. Subsequently, Bruce and Terry attend a party thrown in the former's honour, where the Joker gang attacks, and Bruce's arch enemy makes his grand return to the public eye, with the Joker crashing the party, confronting his former foe before escaping. The return of Batman's greatest and most dangerous enemy begins to put a strain on Terry and Bruce's relationship. The latter is adamant that it can't actually be the Joker, because as he says, he saw the Joker die years ago. However, when Terry presses him for details, Bruce demands that Terry give back the Batsuit, which he ultimately does. The following night though, Terry is attacked by the Joker gang in a nightclub, while Bruce, home alone, is ambushed by the Joker, who taunts his old foe before poisoning him, with Terry luckily arriving in a scene reminiscent to his father's death at the hands of the Joker gang at the beginning of the series to give Bruce the antidote. With Bruce now recovering though, Terry confronts Commissioner Barbara Gordon, seeking an explanation as to what happened with Bruce, herself, and the Joker all those years ago. Barbara recalls the events, and this is where the film flashes back to the events following the new Batman Adventures. Tim Drake, the second Robin following Dick Grayson's ascendancy to the role of Nightwing, is ambushed by Joker and Harley Quinn, with the young hero being missing for weeks, as Bruce and Barbara, then Batgirl, attempt to track him down, eventually doing so to the now abandoned Arkham Asylum. When they arrive at Arkham though, they are greeted by Joker and Harley, who are very keen to introduce the pair to their new son, Joker Jr., Tim Drake, now heavily drugged and brainwashed. A fight breaks out between the four, with Batgirl and Harley coming to blows as Joker leads Batman into a projector room, wherein he taunts the Dark Knight with a slideshow of home movies, detailing his torture of Tim and his Joker-esque transformation, while also revealing that Tim had told Joker Bruce and Barbara's secret identities. Bruce furiously attacks the Joker, blazing with anger, before being stabbed in the leg and wounded, with Joker instructing Tim to shoot and kill his former mentor. Tim, uncontrollably laughing and shaking, instead comes to his senses and shoots the Joker in the chest, killing him. Tim's maniacal laughter quickly turns into tears as he breaks down and is consoled by Bruce and Barbara. Back in the present day, Barbara explains to Terry that following this, Bruce forbids him from ever being Robin again, ultimately blaming himself for what happened and setting in motion the isolation that would eventually lead him to where Bruce was at the start of Batman Beyond. Terry, once in possession of the Batsuit again, tracks down a now adult Tim Drake, who claims to know absolutely nothing of the Joker's return. Following this, Terry returns to the Batcave where he's confronted by Bruce, with the pair noticing that when Joker attacked Bruce in the cave, the only one of the costumes on display that had been damaged was the former Robin suit, leading to Terry speculating that Tim Drake might actually be the Joker. Terry goes to track Tim down again, only to find a hologram in his place. So instead, he ambushes the Joker gang at their hideout and discovers Drake to actually be there. Terry confronts the former Robin, who shockingly transforms into the Joker, revealing a microchip containing the original villain's DNA planted in Drake's neck, allowing the Joker to survive in the former Robin's body. The pair fight, with Terry eventually getting the upper hand through taunting his foe, playing mind games in the same way the Joker once did to Bruce. Joker, though, eventually grabs Terry and begins to suffocate him, before Terry's able to grab a Joker buzzer and use it to fry the microchip on the villain's neck, destroying it and ending the Joker once and for all. The film ends with Tim recovering in hospital, cared for by Terry and Barbara, before Bruce arrives to reconcile with his former protege. Terry leaves and suits up once again as Batman, disappearing into the night and vowing to continue the legacy of the Caped Crusader. As you can probably tell already, I am a huge fan of this film. I think that overall, Batman Beyond as a show is a fascinating addition to the Batman lore, but Return of the Joker truly serves to elevate the characters and the world of this existing series to a level of one of the great animated Batman stories, and also one of the darkest and most sinister stories relating to the Joker. The flashback sequences in this film are incredibly unsettling, and in many ways, what happens to Tim Drake in this film could be argued to be the DC Animated Universe's rendition of A Death in the Family, the 1988 storyline which saw the Joker murder the second Robin, Jason Todd. And while for obvious reasons DC chose to omit Jason from the animated series, what happens to Tim Drake here very much serves the same purpose as Todd's death did in the comics. It reinforces not only the sheer and unquestionable villainy of the Joker, but also the trauma at the heart of Batman's character. What happens to Tim in this film has a clear psychological impact on Bruce Wayne, ultimately resulting in him pushing away and alienating everyone once close to him, only to be later saved by the arrival of Terry McGinnis. It's a fascinating story that captures the significance and the impact of one of Batman's greatest ever comic book stories, while also being incredibly original and fresh in its own right. The writing and the ideas behind this film are great, but they're only elevated by the incredible performances of Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill especially, who both give some of their very best ever performances as Batman and the Joker. Will Friedle is excellent as the voice of Terry McGinnis, and Dean Stockwell is another highlight as the voice of a now adult Tim Drake. Overall, if you take one thing away from this video, I want it to be that Batman Beyond Return of the Joker is one of the most bold and interesting pieces of DC animation ever released, created during the real golden age of DC's animated universe, and standing the test of time as one of the best original animated films the studio has ever made. And although in later years DC has found success with more faithful and straightforward adaptations of classic comics, as well as creating a new 52-esque shared animated universe, the genius that came with films such as Return of the Joker and Mask of the Phantasm demonstrate the importance of taking these characters in strange and exciting new directions, creating brand new characters and settings, and using the medium of animation to tell stories that could never be done elsewhere. In short, Batman Return of the Joker isn't just DC animation at its finest, it's DC storytelling at its finest too. And I can only hope that watching this video encourages you to go back and revisit this classic film, and see what makes it such an animated masterpiece. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to leave a like on the video and leave a comment down below as well. Let me know your thoughts on Batman Beyond Return of the Joker. Have you seen it? And where do you think it stands in regards to all of the other DC animated films? I can't wait to hear what you have to say as always. If you're new to Owen Likes Comics, please consider hitting the subscribe button and also the little notify bell next to it to stay up to date with all of the new videos we make. And there should be some other videos on screen that you might also enjoy if you happen to enjoy this one. You can follow me on Twitter just at Owen Likes Comics, and that's all for this video, so I'll see you all next time. So until then, take care and keep reading.